Okay, morning Year 8. In this course of lessons, we're going to be starting with some still life drawing, and we're going to take that still life drawing into a cubist artwork. So we are going to be looking at cubism as the lessons progress. With the still life drawing, we're going to start with something that we are familiar with, and we're going to draw a bottle, and we're going to be focusing on tone and value in the next lesson. But this lesson we're going to focus on proportion, scaffolding lines, and getting the correct measurements. Let's give it a go. Okay, so you're going to need a few things to do this drawing. Obviously a pencil and a ruler, and a rubber would be really handy. This is a charcoal pencil, and if you can get hold of a charcoal pencil later on in the project, that would be handy. If you can, a set of pencils would be handy as well. Obviously, looking at tone and value, having different grades of pencils do help with that. And HB is traditionally a harder graphite and therefore gives a lighter line. And as we go up the Bs, from B, 2B, 4B, 6B, and then 8B, as you can see here, 8B is a very soft graphite and give you a very dark line. And I'll show you how that works. Okay, so here I'm going to measure out some boxes. We're going to call this the warm-up. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of tonal shading just to warm us up. I'm going to refer to the PowerPoint slide 1, and if you go to you'll have the PowerPoint open as part of this project, and you can see examples of what I'm doing here, so examples of different tonal shading. So I'm measuring out 4 or 5 boxes, about 2.5 centimeters wide, just so they're large enough for me to be able to begin these shading techniques. And you can think of this as a warm-up before starting your proper drawing. Okay, so we're beginning to do some shading here as a warm-up, and we're building the layers up gradually. In the PowerPoint slide you'll see the first square is the easiest, and it's going from dark through to light and then back to dark again. So we're just releasing the pressure on the pencil to create those differences in tone. There are more than one technique to this. Obviously you can just shade up and down, as I'm pretty much doing here. You can work in a circular motion, and you can also cross hatch as well. And I would ask you to experiment with the different variations of how to create tone in your drawing. Now this is a warm-up, so you're getting used to the lever being able to create dark lines and light lines, and that's going to help you when you move into the main part of your drawing. I'm going to speed up in a minute, and as we switch through the next subsequent squares, and I'd like you to just have a look at how I'm applying the shading, have a look at how I'm doing the drawings, and refer to the PowerPoint slide for the example as well. And that will give you a really good overall understanding of how to create these tonal drawings yourself. Okay, so here we are, and we're about to start drawing our bottle. I'm going to be drawing this almost at a ratio of 1 to 1. As you can see here, the bottle is just very slightly bigger than the A4 paper I'm working on, but it's almost a ratio of 1 to 1, so it's the easiest way to draw. Try and draw something the size it is. Obviously you don't have to worry about making things larger and smaller then. I'm using a ruler to begin with, and this is a scaffolding line, and you'll be familiar with this from year 7, so this is a line of symmetry. The idea here is that it's much easier for me to judge distances on the left and right hand side of this line. If I just try to do a drawing without any reference points, then I'm going to struggle. Now I'm beginning to put an ellipse in here, so this is an oval shape, and I'm looking at the bottom of the bottle as I do this. Obviously when we put things down on a surface it's flat, and one of the mistakes I see students do a lot is they make their objects flat, so a straight line, but they're in fact curved. They're, you know, if you draw around a cup or a bottle or a glass, you'll see it's a curved line. And actually later on you'll see me drawing the label on this bottle, and that also is a curved line as it curves around the bottle shape. And that's something that gives our drawings form as well, so that's part of the understanding the perspective of something. Now you can see a few scaffolding lines here to begin with, so line of symmetry, an ellipse at the bottom or an oval, and I've measured out about 2/3 up, which is where I think the bottle's neck starts to come into effect. It's where I call it the break of the bottle, where it starts to move inwards. Now if you are insecure with your drawing, or developing your drawing technique, you can use the ruler. You can use the ruler to give yourself some parameters. The width of the bottle you can see me putting in there with the ruler, that's fine. If you're a more accomplished drawer, I do recommend that you draw freehand as much as possible. That will train your hand and eye coordination to be able to draw straighter lines, but there's nothing wrong with using a ruler to develop that skill. Now you can see my lines are very light here, a very light touch, so just sketchy, building up the drawing, early stages, putting in a few areas. There's a particular shape to the bottle of the bottle that I want to get in, whereabouts the labels were, and obviously roughly the top as well of the lid of the bottle. So I'm sketching in these areas, and you'll see me build this drawing up over time. And I very much want you to draw with that in mind. Again, a common mistake by students is to think that their drawing has to be perfect straight away. And you'll see I haven't used the rubber at all right now, but there are lines I don't like in this drawing already. But I use my bad lines to get to my good lines, so I don't erase everything straight away. I build the drawing up bit by bit in stages, and I can't emphasize that enough. Actually, use your bad lines to get to your good lines. Okay, build the drawing up. Don't rub everything out or erase everything as you go, because you're almost starting from scratch every time, and if you think about it, that just doesn't make sense. I'm putting a little bit of the top label in now, and again, the shape of it's not 100%, but I'm okay. I'm just sketching it in roughly where I want it, and I'm actually going to start to look at the difficult part of the bottle, which is the top, in a minute. You can see I've left that for a little while. I'm just looking at the bottle now, observing the shapes, and then looking back at my drawing. And now I'm about to put the bottleneck in, and this is the tricky bit. So when you put the bottleneck in, you can see I've left it to the last bit. This is where you're really trying to get that shape, and it does require a little bit of practice. Normally, if you are right-handed, you will do the left-hand side better than the right-hand side. So I'm now working on the right-hand side, and I tend to find that side of my drawing slightly trickier. Okay, so here we have the finished drawing, and what I want you to really see is the scaffolding lines that are still there, the little mistakes or how the drawing is built up, and I talked about that a lot. Okay, at the end I darkened some lines and some edges to get my finished drawing, but I certainly didn't rub things out all the time. I built it up gradually. Okay, now obviously this was the bottle that I had to hand at home. You can use any bottle or glass to do this drawing. I think some sort of bottle would be best. And this is going to be a course of lessons, and we are going to move into cubism later on. So if you're familiar with drawing a few household objects, that is going to help you in the project. Okay, that's it for today. Good luck.